Okay, so you've built your first app. It's looking great. But how do you actually get it out there, reliably to people anywhere without it just falling over? Today, we're doing a deep dive into, well, the real foundation of global cloud apps, Microsoft Azure's infrastructure. We're talking regions, availability zones, and those critical SLAs, the service level agreements. Our mission to pull out the really essential stuff you, as a beginner dev, need to build apps that are robust, scalable, and perform well right from the get-go.
Exactly. And understanding this backbone, it's not just theory, it's how you actually translate cloud concepts into real benefits for your projects. It's fundamental.
All right, let's start with Azure regions. What's the simplest way for a beginner to think about these? And maybe what's a common mistake people make choosing one?
Okay. Think of a region as a distinct geographic area, like East US or maybe West Europe. Inside, there are multiple data centers, all linked up. They're designed to be separate, isolated, so, a disaster in one won't affect another. The biggest mistake, probably just picking the default region or maybe the one physically closest to you instead of your users.
Right, users first.
Absolutely. If your users are mostly in, say, Germany, but you deploy in the US, you're just adding lag latency. That's why Azure has, over 60 regions now? It's about getting close to users and meeting data rules, things like GDPR.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense for speed and compliance.
Hmm.
But if a region gives you that big picture isolation, what about something smaller, like a power outage just hitting part of that region? Is that still a risk?
That's a great question, and that leads us straight into availability zones. These are physically separate locations inside a single Azure region. Think separate buildings, really. Each one's got its own independent power, its own cooling, networking.
Ah, so it's like another layer of protection.
Precisely. If one zone has an issue, maybe a power surge, some local problem, your app, if it's spread across multiple zones, just keeps running. It offers much finer-grained resilience. Now, not every single region has them yet, but the main ones do. And for anything important, any critical app, you really need to check if the region supports zones.
So when I'm actually setting something up, like a database or a VM, how do I use these zones? Is it complicated?
No, that's the nice part, especially for beginners. Azure often handles the tricky bits, like replication and failover. Usually when you're creating a resource, you'll see an option, maybe a drop-down or a checkbox, something like zone redundant or deploy across availability zones. Click that, and you've basically enabled that extra layer.
Okay, simple enough. Now let's talk about the promise Azure makes service level agreements, SLAs, that guarantee uptime, right? But you see numbers like 99.9% or 99.9%. Does that extra 0.09% really make a difference for someone starting out? Or is it just marketing?
Oh, it makes a huge difference. It's absolutely tangible. Think about it this way. 99.9% uptime allows for, over 8 hours of potential downtime across a whole year. But 99.99%, that drops to less than an hour, maybe around 52 minutes total.
Wow, okay. Less than an hour versus most of a workday.
Exactly. For a real application, that's massive. It's the difference between a small hiccup and potentially a major outage that impacts your users or business, and this links back directly. A single virtual machine might get you that 99.9%. But deploy that same VM time across multiple availability zones, that often bumps you up to the 99.99% SLA.
So higher reliability often means using those features like zones.
Right. The higher SLAs usually need you to use these more resilient configurations. Regions, availability zones, they all tie into the SLA you can achieve. And it's a real commitment. If Azure doesn't meet the SLA for a service, you can often get service credits back. It builds trust.
That's a crucial connection. So let's put it all together for you, the beginner developer listening. What are the key takeaways? First, choosing the right region. It's not just about geography. Think user latency, think data laws like GDPR, and even cost. Prices can vary region to region.
Definitely check the pricing calculator for that.
Good point. Second, availability zones. Use them, especially for your important apps. Look for that zone redundancy option. It's your high availability friend. Third, SLAs. Understand what uptime level you need and what configuration achieves it. Don't just skip over reading them.
They set expectations.
Exactly. And finally, cost management. Always be aware. Use the free tiers to learn. Set budget alerts in Azure. And remember, resources like the Azure portal for seeing everything visually and Microsoft Learn for, learning. They're invaluable.
Absolutely. And when you really get these concepts, it changes how you build things. You get that global reach. You build in reliability from the start. Scaling becomes easier. And honestly, it's great for your career, too. It shows you understand how to build serious applications.
It's so true. Knowing this infrastructure, really understanding it, doesn't just make your apps tougher, it changes how you think about building anything in the cloud. So here's something to ponder. How might mastering these foundations, regions, zones, SLAs fundamentally change how you approach your next big project? What new possibilities does that open up?